Hey, Steeple family, welcome to our weekend update of all the stuff that we've been working on for the past week, and a little bit of inside baseball at the end about how we think about our features and the stuff that we're going to build. We're going to kick it off just right away here on the dashboard. We've introduced some new reports that are actually really awesome. We've got this first time gift report, and this helps break down a couple things. First of all, we show you the average weeks till somebody gives for the first time. Obviously, our goal is to bring this number down. We want it to go as south as possible. And we also show you what that first time gift total is for each of the months. You can expand that out and show individuals. You can sort it by time to give, whether it's the same day that they were created, by the first donation amount. And this just becomes a really powerful way of, in essence, engaging with people. One of the things that we want to try to promote is what are the good default things that you should be looking for. And when somebody hits one of these lists, one of these reports, it's okay, hey, maybe for Mervyn, we need to send them a piece of mail. And that report is just frustratingly difficult to produce inside a planning center or whatever your CHMS is. And here we just give it to you for free. We've got the same thing going for our first time recurring, which is really great. This is when somebody initiates their first recurring donation. And again, similar thing, we're showing you the value that's coming out of that. And again, this is such a great opportunity to send somebody a personal card, just an individual piece of mail. And it's something that we're thinking about down the road of how do we do this within the application? How do we make it so that if somebody lands here in first time recurring and that their giving value is over a certain threshold, because the mail is going to cost something, maybe that threshold is $20, and we go, hey, if their recurring gift is more than $20, let's send them what's going to cost us maybe $4 or $5, this automatically created handwritten note that we've got kind of pre-assembled that'll just go out to people. And so that's kind of the stuff that we're thinking about is hey, how do we make discipleship really intentional, but also can we automate it? Can we make these things just easier and simpler? We've also made a ton of progress on our growth track, which is kind of our big thing. It's the tell me what to do. Our principles always are going to be hey, we're going to produce a report first, then we're going to turn that report into an insight of some kind, and then on top of that insight, we're going to build the tell me what to do. And growth track really is the tell me what to do based off of our health model. It sits on top of giving, serving, and team attendance, team participation. And we wrap all that together to show you hey, what should somebody be doing? The cool things that we've got going on here is we're highlighting when somebody is needing to be invited to the platform. And this is massive. In essence, we're trying to make it really easy to find who is the right leader to help Rod start giving. And we think, based off of who they're connected with, it's Oliver. And so Oliver's not on the platform, but you'll see here when I hover here, it says send, invite, and assign growth step. That's going to send Oliver a great invite email onto SteepleWorks and make it really easy for her to start working on the product. The other thing that kind of comes with this is I want to talk a little bit about roles within our application. And this is kind of more the inside baseball of what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. Roles. How do roles work? We're thinking, in essence, of having 4 roles, different roles that people can have within the product. The first is the org admin. They have the ability to delete the organization, make tons of changes, and that should be reserved for a few individuals, in the same way that you've got an org admin on site at Planning Center, and you keep that to a really small room. The second is admins. These are individuals that have the visibility on everything. They can see all of the giving data. They can see everybody's notes and tasks. They see every single piece of information, but they can't delete the organization. That's really great for executive pastors, senior pastors, campus pastors, individuals that are maybe on the central team overseeing several campuses that need that insight. But remember, they have visibility on all of the giving data that we have. So all of the giving reports, they can see that. The third role is the director role. These are somebody like, our worship pastor, potentially, or our next steps coordinator, or our dream team director. They're individuals that they're not going to be able to see all of the giving data. They're only going to be able to see this trend data that shows up here for giving. Whether somebody's giving, whether they're not giving, whether it's steady, stagnant, falling, sporadic, that's going to give them some insight to help them with, in essence, their role of pastoring and discipling people at maybe a campus level or potentially at a church-wide level. And then our final role is a leader role. A leader, they don't get to see any of the giving data. They don't see a lot of the reports. A lot of that stuff gets hidden away from those individuals. And the only time that they can see giving data is if an individual has been assigned, if they've been assigned like a growth step that involves giving. That could be a start giving, that could be like a keep giving step. I think all of these here on our dummy data right now is just going to be start giving. So they're then going to be able to see like, hey, here's where they're at with their giving. But for people that they're not assigned a growth step to, or for growth steps that don't involve giving, they're not going to see this at all. We had some great onboardings this past week that I want to update you on as well. And we had a really interesting conversation with a church that has a large single location. They're doing several thousand across the weekend with several different services. And what they kind of pointed out is like, hey, maybe there's a world where some of this giving data becomes less and less apparent. And I kind of want to address some of this because I think it's a thing that a lot of people have asked for before. I think that we haven't discipled with giving data because our platforms that we've used have sucked. They've, in essence, allowed you to see all of the giving data or none of the giving data. And in that world, you can only show it to a few individuals. And if you can only show it to a few individuals, you end up not pastoring that area in a meaningful measure. We do it from stage on a Sunday via our, moment after song 4 before the service. And maybe we do it via a series that happens once a year where we talk about giving pretty heavily during the sermon. But other than that, nobody can really talk about giving because it's so difficult to give people access that doesn't feel like a privacy violation, and also just makes it so that if you have a rogue leader or an individual that goes south, everybody is safe and protected. And this is really what we're going after with our product. We don't necessarily want to produce organizational change within your organization at a pace that you're not ready for. But we do want to allow you to start discipling people based off of their giving data in a healthy way. And for us, that healthy way is slimming down what an individual can see just to the trend. And with that trend, you can open that up to more individuals and get to a greater level of discipleship within giving. Pastor Jason, who does our growth seminars with me, he always talks about, serving on a Sunday is your hands. Going to group during the week is your heart, but giving is your hand and your heart combined and is put together. When we remove giving out of our equation of what we're looking for to find people that can grow, I'll show you this, and this is so key. We've got our doing 1, our doing 2, and our doing 3. These are individuals that they're doing 1, 2, or 3 out of serving, group, and giving. If all of a sudden we say, hey, we don't care about giving anymore. Now, instead of 59 people and 34 people doing 1 and doing 2 and having that separation, all of those individuals are lumped together into a single category. They're doing 1. What we have found is that the people that are doing 2 are so much easier to get to do 3 than people that are just doing 1. And so even if it is, hey, we're going to disciple via growth steps, via the auto growth track, we're going to do look at the 2 out of 3. We're not going to disciple the giving, but it gives us a slimmer set that makes it super easy for us to engage people and move them to the next step. I think we're winning already because we're giving you the easiest individuals to move forward. And over time, your organization can go like, hey, let's trial this out. Maybe for pastors, that a pastor can have that growth step with an individual around giving. And that's something that we're thinking about potentially doing, is moving these growth steps with Start Giving to assign to a pastor rather than to a group leader. The final thing that I want to talk about is kind of some big changes that are going to be coming during the next couple weeks to our sidebar and to the way that our application feels. Right now, we've kind of just thrown a bunch of tools at individuals at churches and gone like, hey, do you find any value in these tools? We have notes, we have tasks, we have herds, we've got this auto growth track. And then here at the bottom, like we've got the flock section as well, where we give you table views for campuses, teams, groups, etc. One of the things that I found in all of this is it's just really confusing. On one hand, our product looks beautiful, but if it's confusing to use, it's a beautiful mess. And beautiful messes just get dropped at the wayside. What we're gonna start to do is collapsing growth track and herds and the profile view for a collection of people into a single view for you, into a single screen. When I say a collection of people, a campus, a team, or a group, they're just collections of people. They're a bucket that people are placed into. It's categories. And what we're going to allow you to do is pin particular teams or groups or campuses that you care about to the sidebar in this section. Growth track will get renamed and they will appear here. Once you enter that view, you're going to see the growth track for that group of individuals. You're going to see the new flock herd for that or any other herds that have been created. And you're also going to see a details view for that entity. Our hope with this is it can make it a ton easier for team leaders or group leaders, individuals that don't care about the entire world. And it also will make it significantly easier for kind of these mega campus locations that are several thousand across a weekend. Whereas maybe you've got a smaller campus that's a couple hundred across a weekend that's easy to manage from like this view with East Campus Growth Track. But I know that there's some larger campuses here. Here, let me try to find them. Yeah, I think Park Campus here is really massive. Like dealing with this large, this campus, 83 individuals that are doing 2 that we want to try to connect with this week to try to get them to do 3 or to do this month, divvying that up amongst 20 leaders is painful. And so it's trying to slim that down and go, hey, maybe it's not like, hey, let's care about Park Campus. Maybe it's, hey, team leader, these are your people. Work through them. You might be coming to the campus view still for a new flock because those individuals aren't on a team, they're not in a group yet. But we're trying to kind of streamline that process. The other thing that we're thinking about doing is combining tasks and notes together completely into what we're calling a touch point. A touch point really is either a one-on-one connection, that text or call, or connecting with somebody at church. It has a deadline of some kind, it's assigned to a leader, and there's some accountability. And there's a little bit of a workflow that happens with that touch point. Like we have something that we want to do with the touch point later on. We care about it. Once that touch point has happened, we want to see if that person has improved, that they've met with, has improved, stayed the same, or has declined. And that's going to, in essence, inform us on like, hey, was this touch point successful or not successful? The flowing out of those touch points, I think, is going to be really, really valuable. In most of our application from just a leader point of view, if they're not directly a group leader or a team leader, they're not trying to manage a growth track for a particular group of people or managing new flock, they're just going to have a list of growth steps that they're trying to accomplish that are tied to their touch point. And so we want to simplify that down for the core leader and just show them like, hey, here's a really simple interface that just has your touch points that we want to see from you. These are the individuals that you need to connect with. This is when you need to connect with them. Click on their name, see their profile details, move on with your life. That's kind of a wrap on our weekly update for you guys. We've been doing a ton of stuff and we're really excited to see a lot of these things shipped. We hope to get Growth Track out of beta over the next 2 weeks, have the full flow in there with measuring and everything. And I think by the end of next week, we're going to have our permission system fully built out. And that's going to make it really easy then for you in confidence to invite leaders onto the product and have them not see sensitive information and protect the rest of your congregation. We hope you guys have an awesome rest of your weekend. Feel free to drop in any comments or thoughts, things that you want to change, maybe features that you're looking for. You know how to connect with us, but we want to share this with you so that you know what's coming down the pipeline. God bless.